So to sum up there, Cobra Post says in their 6th-month investigation, they said officials from banks across India offering ways to convert black money into white. Cobra Post journalist posed as an imaginary politician, as a front for an imaginary politician, and said he needed to convert his boss's money into white. Joining me in why black money is still such a hole in India's economy, a black hole in India's economy, well, two politicians, Rajeev Chandrasekhar, businessman, now MP, also a member of the Standing Committee on Finance, also with me Naresh Gujral of the Akali Dal. So, Rajeev Chandrasekhar, if you can come in here, we know Mr. Elmer pointed to the example by the German government in where he said authorities actually carried out the sting operation. In a sense, when it had come up so prominently in Parliament, when Mr. Pranab Mukherjee is finance minister, the furor over the fact that even the list of 700 account holders apparently given to us have not been made public, apparently on grounds of privacy and legal requirements. Do you think when there's no name and shame policy, do you think the fact that when authorities themselves are not proactive in carrying out stings or raids or whatever, however you would term it, this is going to be the problem?
Sonia, you asked Naresh a question about are we deluding ourselves, and the answer is yes. I think we all know there is hundreds of crores of rupees that are floating around all over us. And if we believe that this money is being kept in rooms somewhere or in large number of briefcases and suitcases, we are deluding ourselves. These are in the system. They are part of the banking system. They are part of the the stock market. And look, I think you asked a question early on saying, is this an open secret? Way back in 2001 and then 2005, 2006, the IB has said that there is terror money and illegal monies involved in the Indian stock market. In 2010, the IMF said that the Indian stock market and indeed the Indian financial sector is vulnerable to money laundering. In 2012 in Parliament, the Home Minister said that, and he said in Parliament and indeed in Germany in an international conference, that there is a lot of terror money in the Indian stock market. Now what Cobra Post has now officially shown to us, that this money is indeed not hiding in some suitcase and briefcase anywhere. It is very much part of blue chip banks, allegedly, subject to evidence and so on. It is part of the overall system. And the question you are asking is a relevant question. How is it if Cobra Post knows about it? How is it that the Financial Intelligence Unit doesn't know about it? How is it that all of these agencies that are supposed to surveil the stock market and the banking sector are not aware of it? So I think that's the question.
Mr. Chandrasekhar, come in there, as I said, no representative of the government to combat that allegation, but come in here another point. Many have also pointed to businessmen and saying, why do so many businessmen gravitate to Rajya Sabha seats, gravitate to politics now? Also because it's seen that politics is now a place where you can safeguard, you can get clout and safeguard money. What would you say to that? Because this is a question asked of businessmen in politics many times.
Yeah, and I think it may be true and it may not be true. I don't think the businessmen are the only one in Parliament who are safeguarding their wealth or their assets. But I just want to go back to the point. I think we're making this conversation too much about social transformation and people's habits and tax evasion and all that, because I think that at the core of this is the enforcement of law. If you look at what happened in the US, and look, money laundering is one of the biggest menaces that the global fight against terrorism has seen that it must handle. And if you look at the US, when HSBC and UBS were caught in money laundering, and of course they said it was junior level of officials and all of that, they were fined more than $1 billion, and their banking licenses were threatened to be cancelled. So we can't let this argument drift off into an argument about people's cultural habits of tax evasion. This is a fundamental issue about whether the banking system and the financial system is being misused to launder money. And money laundering is a serious threat.
The minor things still evade. As I said, final words, Naresh Gujral, Rajeev Chandrasekhar, Rajeev, first with you. Are we evading the big fish? Is that really the problem here? We're not looking at the elephant in the room, but we're going after the tinkering, the nuts and bolts, etc.
Oh, I agree. I
Absolutely.
completely agree. I think the issue is that the banking system in India must be credible, must be rock solid. There must not be even an iota of suspicion about how they handle what they handle. They are the cornerstone of our financial system, and if there is even an iota of doubt or culpability anywhere in that system, they must be held to account. I completely disagree that if that this is something that is isolated and is restricted to some low-level manager. A low-level manager in a bank functions as a result of a corporate culture. So there is no way that we can allow this to be just brushed aside or brushed under the carpet as some cultural issue or some, Indian heritage issue. This has to be looked into. They have to be held accountable, and if they're innocent, they should be let go. But otherwise, banks must be held to the gold standard of operating under the laws of India.